Welcome. Stress is not just more load. It is pressure that reveals whether a system still behaves correctly. The question we keep asking today is simple. When timing shifts, retries happen, and actors compete, does the invariant survive? Now that we have framed stress as a pressure, the important move is to treat it as part of the design, not a freak accident. Load, timing shifts, retries, cues, and contention are what expose whether the system really holds together.
So the real test is not whether it works once, but whether the invariant still holds when pressure changes the execution?
Exactly. Good engineering makes that question measurable, observable, and testable instead of leaving it as an assumption. That pressure exposes the hidden assumptions that make a baseline look safer than it is. A design often assumes the workflow runs once, state changes happen in order, load will not change behavior, and failure evidence is optional.
So the system can look correct because the test is quietly matching those assumptions.
Yes, and that is why we inspect the execution model instead of trusting the happy path. Concurrent runs overlap, timing changes visibility, and evidence becomes part of the design claim. That sets up the failure pattern. A sequential run can hide the real execution model because nothing overlaps and nothing delays, so the code appears correct.
Then why did it pass the first test so cleanly?
Because the test matched the assumption. Under pressure, the same workflow can interleave, delay, or repeat, and the real problem is the mismatch between design assumption and execution environment. So the failure becomes visible in a recognizable shape: latency spikes, duplicate work, missing completion logs, and queues that never drain. Those symptoms usually come from slow dependencies, retry storms, stale state, or hidden coordination costs.
Is the bug in the code path itself, or in the fact that the code never defended against pressure?
Usually the second one. The baseline can look healthy until stress exposes the weak assumption, which is why we need repeatable pressure tests rather than one success screenshot. This is why the evidence matters. Stress claims are only defensible if they come with structured evidence: logs, traces, interleavings, and repeatable test output.
What would count as enough evidence to prove the failure happened?
You want baseline behavior, failure behavior, and then corrected behavior with its trade-off. If a reviewer cannot reconstruct the failure from the artifact, the claim is too weak. Once pressure exposes the weakness, the next question is how to protect the invariant. You might use state guards or version checks, back pressure or circuit breakers, idempotency or deduplication, or compensation and reconciliation.
Isn't adding a lock or retry enough?
Not necessarily. The smallest control that preserves the relevant property is the right one, and every fix has a cost. The goal is not to add mechanism, it is to defend the invariant. That is the repair strategy. Stop hoping the happy path represents reality and start engineering for pressure. Before the repair, logs are treated as optional and timing is assumed to cooperate.
So, what changes after the repair, besides the code?
You name the invariant, add structured evidence, and apply controls like back pressure, guards, or idempotency. A mature system can explain what failed and how it recovered. So let's close by organizing the vocabulary. Stress exposes limits. Contention is competing for the same resource. Saturation is when more work makes performance worse. And edge cases are the rare timing combinations that appear under load.
When I write the integrity packet, what should I be defending first?
Defend the invariant, then show the failure mode, the evidence, and the design response. That is the language you will use in review and in A4.